There's a world out there, a world waiting for you, waiting to be explored. Waiting for you to leave your mark. Question is, are you ready for takeoff? To see places you never imagined. We fly so you can touch the sky. Captain Flacco invites you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the views as we take the skies. Welcome to That Flight Sim channel. As always, happy flying.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is Captain Gonzo here with that Flight Sim channel. And as you can see, we are back today. We are taking a little break from our scheduled 22 leg trip down to Trinidad. As unfortunately tonight, Captain Flacco couldn't join us, and so I decided to go ahead and do the live stream anyways because we've got a couple of new exciting things to test out here. So on my end, I just upgraded my rudder pedal set, and I upgraded from the Logitech uh, the flight rudder pedals that you can find on Amazon, which by the way have worked flawlessly. They've been great pedals to start with. But anyways, I was looking online and I found the company called WinWing, which are pretty known by now in the flight sim community, especially with the fighter pilot side stuff with DCS World and all that kind of fun stuff. So I went ahead and ordered the Orion 2 pedals, which are still called Skywalkers. And guys, I've literally just installed them, literally just threw them on earlier today, and I've got maybe just under an hour of playing around with them. But anyways, you will see me talking about how they feel along the flight so you guys can get an idea of how they compare to the Logitechs. But regardless, here it is, guys. Here is the Piper PA-38 Tomahawk, which just released, I think, earlier last week or maybe even a little bit later or earlier. And this is a pretty nice little trainer. Obviously, it sticks out from the rest of the trainers with that little high T-tail. I've seen a couple of them in real world. They're very, very small, but definitely a fun aircraft to fly. So we're just going to take a view here on the outside, showing all the nice little details that JustFlight put in there. So let me start getting closer here. As you can see, the static elements are on. We've got the tie-down straps there, and we've got the chocks on. So we'll climb into the cockpit here shortly and remove them before we get ready for our flight. But anyways, guys, the plans tonight are we're going to take off from Key West International down here in lovely Key West. And we're going to fly up just the road, maybe about 20-25 minutes up to Marathon. Now, Marathon is another section of the Keys that is about an hour, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more, depending on traffic from Key West, like downtown Key West, as we all know it. And there's a nice little airport there. I used to drive through there all the time, visiting family and friends and stuff. And it was an amazing scenery to see aircraft coming in over the boat yards and all that. And so we'll be flying up there, maybe doing a touch and go or two, and then hopefully next week we can pick back up where we were, and then fly up to Nassau in the Bahamas with Captain Flacco joining us. So all right, let's take a look here a little bit closer. You can see all the little dings and impacts on the paint here. That's pretty awesome. I love the attention to detail. Look at the cowlings. You can see the overlap there and the step and gap, which is pretty awesome. Pretty accurate, actually. Yeah, this aircraft is definitely not shy of detail. I like the weathered look too, because as far as I know, PA-38s have not been produced for at least 15, 20 years, if not more, guys. So these aircraft are relatively aged, and this paint job shows it. Let's take one quick look around. There is the marshaller there just hanging out with the electro. I don't think that'll be a good spot for him to be in when I fire up, but or she, I should say she. Yeah, I didn't realize that. All right. Well, let's hop on in, guys, and let's remove the chocks and the tie downs. So let's take a look inside here, and I'll show you how we do that. So JustFlight does that a lot with their other modules. They have this little iPad tablet, which is pretty common nowadays, right? Electronic flight bags are the new thing and the common thing to find with a lot of payware add-ons, and this one does not stay behind. So as you can see, we've got pitot cover, tie downs, and chocks enabled. So let's go ahead and remove the pitot cover. Let's open the doors, actually. Let's get some fresh air in here. Where is it? There we go. Much better. And then you'll see this area back here. Once I remove the chocks and the tie downs, I believe we will see them show up here in the baggage area. Let's try it. Yep, there we go. So we do have the chocks at least. I don't see the straps. There might be somewhere back there, but nonetheless, pretty cool. Okay, so it looks like everything around is done. Let's see. Let's start the walk around. Okay, so let's check all. Okay, so here we are checking the aileron. Free and clear of movement, or any obstructions, I should say. Let's check the flap. Let me see if it'll let me select it. Oh, that's pretty cool, guys. It's letting me actually check it just like the Comanche from A to A. And then fuel quantity, let's check. We've got 16 US gallons, which I'm okay with that. We're not going to be needing too much stuff from there. So everything's good. Let's proceed on to the next section. All right, here's the pitot tube, and the pitot cover has been removed. So first check is to remove the chocks. Check. Left tire. Looks good. Looks like we're at 30 PSI. Condition is 100%. Sounds about right. Left brake is at 100% condition. Wow, guys, this is my first time actually going through this on the PA-38, and this is very reminiscent of the AccuSim A2A Comanche. So kudos to JustFlight. Looks like they saw what AccuSim did, and they couldn't stay behind. Stall warning, let's check it, and that is that little device here. Condition is okay. Tie downs removed. They have been removed. Fuel strain. All right, so we're going to check the fuel strain, and I believe they are right here. So you can see no water quantity indicated on the tank. Let me see if there's any other strain locations. I think that's it. And then the gear and strut check. Gear strut is at 100% condition. Good. Let's move on. Okay, same thing. Let's check for the chocks. They have been removed. Nose tire. Tow bar is removed. Nothing's in the way. Prop, let's check it. Wow, this is crazy. Prop looks good. Tow bar has been removed. Fuel strain, I believe it's right here. Yep, 0% water found in the fuel. That's always a good thing. And the gear strut, let's check it. 100%. Good. Moving on to the leading edge of the right wing area here. Chocks removed. Right tire. 30 PSI, 100% condition. Brake looks good, 100%. Engine, check. Let's open up the engine cowling. No, that's not the right one. Can't really see how to open up that. I really don't know what's moving in and out of there, but it sounds like something is opening. I'm hoping it's all secured before we fire up. Fuel, let's strain it. 0% found or 0% water. I believe there's another strain point. No, that's just a drain point. And the gear strut. 100%. Let's go back here. We're going to check the right aileron this time. Looks good. Let's check the flap. Good. Fuel quantity. 16 gallons. So we've got, what, a total of 32 gallons. That's more than plenty for what we're doing today. So let's walk over to our stabilizer back here, I believe. Oh, no, these are just actual elevators affixed to our horizontal stabilizers. So we're checking them. Looks good. Rudder right now is not checking for whatever reason. I'll have to verify my flight controls are good. There we go. And the antennae, let's see, they look good over here. They're all nice and upright. There we go. Com nav 1 okay, transponder okay. Automatic direction finder good. Com nav 2 good. Okay, and I believe we've gone ahead and done a complete walk around. Let's hop back in. All right, let's go ahead and close these doors. What I'll do is I'll open up this little valve here, or this little inlet. You can see weather's kind of coming down on us right now, but I believe we are headed north, and I believe weather should be better up there. So first things first, let's get the battery on. You can see them back here. And now for those of you curious, as you can see, I didn't press the switch on the cockpit. I've got my Honeycomb Alpha and Bravo series of flight controls, and they do have a master battery and alternator switch, as well as the avionics master. All right. So, again, guys, haven't flown this aircraft really too much, so I'm just going to see if there's any checklists here. Aircraft states, autopilot. Back home. Oh, here we go. So we've done the pre-flight. Okay, here we go. Before starting engine. Cabin doors closed and latched. Closed and latched. Closed and latched. Okay. Let's check off. Overhead latch engaged. This is right here. Oh. There we go. That's probably better. We're all learning together, guys. Seats adjusted and locked. I don't know if I can really model these things, but whatever. Seat belts and harnesses are secured. All right, and just give me 1 second here. Okay. Next item. Circuit breakers. Looks like they are all in. I don't see any circuit breakers popping out. Parking brake is set as indicated by the parking brake lever here. Carburetor heat. Make sure that it is off. It is in the off position. Fuel selector, desired tank. Let's go ahead and go to the left tank. There we go. And I believe that does it for this checklist. Let me make sure there's nothing else. Okay, so engine starting engine when cold, which I believe is the idea right now since we haven't fired this up. So prime as required. Let's see if I can find the primer here. Oh, there it is. So I believe what we'll do is we'll throw the mixture full in. And we'll give it 2 or 3 pumps. Okay, that's 3 pumps right there. Throttle open 1/2 inch. About yay. Master switch to on, which I believe we've gone ahead and done that for our battery and alternator. Electric fuel pump is coming on. And we can see fuel pressure is in the green. That's good. Mixture full rich. Yep, it's already there. Okay, starter engage. So it wants us to start the engine. Primer push in slowly after the engine start. Whoops, might have gotten ahead of myself with that one. But screw it, we'll say we're good. And then throttle advance slightly, so we'll wait for the engine to start cranking. Then we're going to verify oil pressure, turn that electric fuel pump off, check the fuel pressure, and make sure that the primer knob is locked. Okay. So again, just going off of my start switch here on the Honeycomb Alpha, we're going to look left and right, and we're going to yell, clear prop. That's a good engine start. Let's bring back power to about 1,000 RPM. Now just verifying the checklist oil pressure. Oil pressure is climbing. There's still the yellow, but it'll get there to the green here shortly. Not too concerned with it. Fuel pump, let's turn it off. Fuel pressure, let's check it. Fuel pressure is in the green. Primer, verified it is locked, it is turned to the right. And there we have it. The engine is started. And let's take a look at these checklists to see warm up 800 to 1200 RPM. Okay, so we're already in that category. We're sitting just at about 1,000 RPM, so I'm going to consider that good. Taxiing, we'll make sure the radios are on. So let's go ahead and just hit our avionics master switches on. Huh. That didn't do anything on my end. Looks like we'll have to go old school, guys. Alright. There we go. Radios are on. This is pretty awesome. Taking it back old school. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Let's go ahead and get our nav lights on. Turn this little rotor dial here. So radio lights. Well, we don't worry about the pitot heat just yet. Keep the air vent open. Supply some nice clean air from the outside. There we go. Transponder, which is absolutely necessary. So we'll set it to standby. And of course 1200, which is our squawk for VFR conditions, which we'll be doing today. So taxi area looks clear. And I'm going to press the B key, set my altimeter to whatever the current weather setting is. This is a default, or not a default, one of the weather presets that I have that is payware. I forget who makes it. So instead of just looking up ATIS and all that fun stuff, I'm just going to look it up and press B. Makes it easier. Okay, and once we come off the parking brake, we'll check brakes and steering. So let's go ahead and release the brake. Let's make sure I actually have control. There we go. We do have steering. Getting on the brakes. Good. I was getting a little worried there. I wasn't seeing the rudder pedals move, so I didn't know if my pedals had disconnected or something like that, but looks like we're good. Alright. So we'll continue taxiing, and then we'll reference that ground checklist. Here we are once again at Signature Aviation down at Key West, where we parked earlier last week, and we stopped our flight from Miami on the default King Air 350s. So that fire truck obviously has, priority right now over me because he's taking that active taxiway. So I'm going to taxi through here, through the ramp area, and then we're going to hold short at runway 9 there at the end and do the run-up. Get the yoke back in visibility. Clear right, clear left. Guys, let me just take this opportunity to say how much better these pedals feel compared to the Logitech. So those of you that may know, the Logitech setup is just plastic pretty much, and you rest your entire foot and heel within these preset molds that come with the pedals. And they run off of potentiometers, I believe. I could be wrong on that. However, these pedals that Orion makes are on actual metal pedals that allow you to rest your heels on the floor, just like you do in the real aircraft once you're airborne or rolling down the runway. So right now, I have my feet on my shoes. They're resting high on the pedals so that I can activate and use my differential braking and tail braking. But once I get on the runway, I'm going to transition my heels to the floor and do as I do in real life, which is very, very accurate. And these pedals use actual Hall sensors, and they come with a dampener, a mechanical dampener that really fine tunes and helps you set your rudder pedals how you like them. So I'll try to provide that in the link, but if you guys don't see it in the link on the description, definitely look them up. They are called Wing. That is Win, Whiskey India November, Wing, Whiskey India November Golf. Look up their products, guys. Can't recommend them enough, and I can't wait to continue building hours with these pedals. But anyways, enough of that jibber jabber. We are here holding short of runway 9. Let's get our parking brake on. Let's reference our run-up checklist here. Parking brake is set. Let's advance the throttle and bring up our RPM to 1800. There's 1800. Alright, magnetos. We're going to check that there's a maximum drop of 175 RPM and that the max differential between the left and right magneto, it's only 50 RPM. So let's take a look. We're going to begin with the left magneto here. Okay, so maybe about 100, 125 RPM. Going back to both. Now we're checking our right magneto. Look at that. It's right on the money with that left magneto. Vacuum gauge is showing pretty constant at 5 inches. Oil temperature, let's check it. Oil is in the green. Oil pressure, it's in the green. Carburetor heat, check. So we should see a slight drop in RPM. There it goes. Carb heat coming off. And throttle, let's retard the throttles. Okay. Good idle, it didn't shut off on us, that's good. And it wants us to check the magnetos, check grounding at low RPMs, then set to both. Yeah, I'll consider that okay, honestly. Okay, so that run-up checklist is done. Let's go ahead and check our before takeoff. Master switch, check on. Yep. Flight instruments checked. Everything is good. Let's make sure this HSI lines up with our backup magneto, or not a magneto, or magnetic compass. 33310. Yep, that looks about right for me. Everything's in the green. Altimeter has been set, and yes, at Key West this is pretty much at sea level, so you can see our altimeter is pretty much spot on. Mixture has been set full rich. We want all the available power on takeoff. We'll set the fuel pump to on. Carb heat is off. Engine gauge is check, which we have already done. Static source is normal. I believe where's the static source? Yeah, can't find it, but I know right now we're getting good pitot measurements or readings. Seat back's erect. Belt and harness is fastened. Empty seat. Flaps, we won't be needing flaps today. Trim. Let's go ahead and set it to the neutral position there. Doors are closed and latched. Overhead latch is engaged. And for normal takeoff, flaps will be set 0, trim set. Again, we're going to keep it neutral. It looks like we're going to accelerate to 53 knots indicated airspeed, and we'll rotate. And control wheel back pressure to rotate to climb altitude. Alright, let's release the brakes. Let's get our landing light on, strobe light on. Let's take the runway. Of course, let's go ahead and set our transponder to altitude reporting. This even lets me. Oh well. You can see this rain starting to come down. Let me close this little window up. Much better. So as I said earlier, guys, here I'm still steering with my heels off the ground. They are on the top section of the pedals so that I can use this tail braking. Once I get lined up here and I start applying power, I'm going to rest my heels on the floor and just use the bottom section of the pedals to steer. So here we go. Heels on the deck. Power coming alive. There we go. Look how fine I'm able to make adjustments, guys, as I'm rolling down the runway. This is pretty awesome. Airspeed's alive. There's 50, 55. Let's start rotating. There we go. We're establishing a good positive rate of climb there. Awesome view here coming out of Key West International. And as you can see, we're looking at our turn coordinator there. And as we're a little bit slow here on the climb out, the engine is going to want to kick us a little bit left. So I have to correct with a little bit of right rudder. And look how easy it is with these pedals, guys. So I'm going to neutralize the pedals. You see how that ball is not centered, so I'm just going to apply a little bit of right pressure here. Look, barely getting on those pedals, guys, but this feels so much more natural now that I'm resting my heels on the floor, which is, again, what we do in real life. Enable that. Let's see if we can get some charts here. At least get a map. There we go. Might be a little bit buggy. Never really worked with this one before, so bear with me. Okay, so this is just for the Navigraph charts. See if the map loads up. If not, no big deal. We'll just do some old school piloting. Right now we are flying over, I believe this is known as Boca Chica, the Naval Air Station down there in Key West. And I've driven through there many times, and you get to see FA-18s, F-5s, all kind of cool stuff happening out there over the water. What I'll do is I'll try to level off here at 2,000 feet just to let this aircraft build some speed, because you can see we're barely doing 60 knots right now. There we go. Trying to level off, just reduce power a bit. I'm going to release a little bit of that right rudder pressure now that the airspeed's increasing. And I hate those lines that show up on the water. I don't know if you guys have experienced that on your end. It sometimes happens with the glossier looking water, just like today, because we don't have a wind factor involved. However, we can change that really quickly. So what we can do is, let's go to our weather here. Let's add a wind layer. And right now, let's get some help. We need a little bit of boost, so we're going to set the wind from the south. Set it up to, I don't know, there we go, 12 knots. Now the water looks way better. We've got some white caps. There we go. And yeah, this flight is relatively easy because all we're doing is literally flying northbound on the Keys here, and we're gonna look for Marathon, which is that runway which I mentioned was about an hour's distance by car. So we'll just keep flying along here. We've gained some altitude. Obviously those winds helped, so I'm going to try to stabilize it here as best as I can. Let's take a look outside. Really nice looking airplane. I don't know about you guys, but I like this thing. Definitely a little funky looking, that T-tail and the bubble light canopy over the fuselage, but I like it. Never flown one. I would love to try one out one day just to see how it feels, because I believe this is a good comparison to like the Cessna 152, similar performance. It'd definitely be a fun plane to try out. Let's get our camera switched up here a little bit. There we go, that's a nice camera. You hear the wind howling here. Alright, let's switch back inside here before we get lost. See, I'm going to pull up my VFR map here on the sim. See where we're at in relation to Marathon. You can see we've got a nice magenta line showing us where we can go, so let's start turning that way. And right now I'm not liking this weather ahead of me, so I'm going to start diving underneath there. And realistically, because we are on a northeasterly heading, we should be at 1,500 feet for that VFR separation instead of the even plus 500. So we'll go ahead and drop it down to 1,500, see how we look with respect to those clouds, and then we'll reassess. Right now we've got a bit of a quartering tailwind there. See, winds are coming from the south. We're headed due east right now, so let's change that wind direction once again. Trying to help us out here the best we can. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is 1,500 feet. And I don't like it one bit. Looks like we're just to the bottoms of these clouds here. Let's reference that VFR map once again. Yeah, we're more or less on track to Marathon. I'm gonna have to keep this flight a little lower. We're gonna have some pretty bad weather. And as you can see, our nominal or normal operating speed here, as indicated by the green on our airspeed indicator, only gets to, let's see, about 105 knots. And then anything above that should be in smooth, stable air, which we do not have right now. So I'm gonna try to stay off of that airspeed. And of course our never exceed speed right now, which is about 137, 138 knots maybe. So I doubt we'll even get close to that, but let's keep an eye out on that airspeed indicator to make sure that we're not even in the amber color, which is the proceed with caution. The actual terminology right now escapes me. But yeah, this is maybe not ideal VFR weather, guys, but as we always say, it is my simulator, and I want to have some fun and challenge myself a bit. Oh, hey, the map's loading up now. There we go. So right there, those weather balloons are actually, it's pretty cool that they modeled them here in the sim. Never noticed that. They are actually always floating above that waypoint there on the islands of about 8,000 feet. And every time I've gone to the Keys, they're always out there. So that's pretty cool that they modeled them. Never noticed that. And just want to give a shout out to Captain Flacco and some of the other followers, Lexi, Daniela. Thank you guys for tuning in. Flacco, this ain't the same without you, bud. So definitely we need to get you in here next week, and so we can pick up. Because right now, this little Tomahawk is struggling to barely make it up to Marathon. Thank you guys for tuning in. Always appreciate the love and the help. Let's get our radio light, see if that helps somewhat. Alright, once again, guys, look at our airspeed indicator, because we're in a shallow dive here, so let's pitch back up. Keep it in the green. Alright, so the little Tomahawk is chugging along just fine. Let's see if we can clear this weather here. I see some sunlight piercing through there, through the rain. I don't know, we might have some better weather up ahead. Just not too sure about that. It's kind of funny how we get used to flying with all the cool gadgets like the Garmin GNS or the GPS 430s, the 5 Series, and even the GTN 750, which I know you guys have seen us use here in the Flight Sim channel a lot. And now we're back to old school. I mean, we've got a couple of VHF radios and some ADF and DME pretty much to get ourselves around, but I didn't want to go through all the hassle of doing that. I just wanted to get up in the air and just do some old school VFR flying up there to Marathon. Let's pull up the VFR map once again. Alright, so you can see Marathon is there just off to our 11 o'clock from our present position. So weather right now at Marathon, just referencing the in-game ATIS. Winds 080 at 12 knots, so winds are coming out of the east. 10 miles, visibility, few clouds at 2,600 feet. Temperature is 27, dew point 22, altimeter 3003. And looks like we've got some remarks from the automated observation. It looks like we'll have a good visual approach, guys, so that's promising. So let's keep that in mind. Altimeter 3003, and the winds out of the east. See what runway we've got. We've got runway 7 and 25, so obviously runway 7 will be the good stuff. Well, let's bank back over here. I had my aircraft in a little bit of a bank and a dive. This is a good indicator of what can happen inside the cloud. You can see how easy it is to get disoriented. Always trust your instrument, guys. These will never lie to you. Unless you left your pitot cover on, then you're going to have a bunch of other issues, but that's something to be discussed at a different point. Right now, we've got good airspeed indication. Our static ports are good and clear, so let's trust our instruments. right now. I know I may have some CFIs out there yelling and screaming at me because I can't maintain straight and level flight in IMC conditions, but I'm trying my best here, guys. And I'm just learning the aircraft. Yeah, look at my vertical speed indicator here showing a slight climb, so let's fight that. Let's bring the pitch down a bit. I'm using my elevator trim, try to combat that climb, neutralize it. This is it, guys. This is kind of an impromptu instrument flight rules training here, as you can see. We have pretty much no visual indicators outside, no cues, and we are relying strictly on our attitude indicator, our HSI, or our heading indicator, our vertical speed indicator, and our altimeter. And of course, can't forget your airspeed indicator and your turn coordinator. These are colloquially known as your six-pack. But everything is looking good so far. Engine is operating everything in the green. Fuel pressure still green. Oil temperature green. And the oil pressure, I should say. This was the oil temperature. It's green. Fuel quantity still showing above 10 gallons on the right. Showing pretty much full on the left, so I'm happy with that. And I think we're just about to break through. You can see that opening right there off to my 1 o'clock. That's somewhat promising, but I don't want to hold my breath just yet. Kind of see the ground just below me too. There we go. That's looking way better right now. And Captain Flacco chiming in on that chat. My local six-pack contains alcohol. Oh, very wise of you, my friend. Very wise. I guess the term or the moniker six-pack definitely applies in many ways and fashions. But anyways, guys, we are making it pretty close here to Marathon. See, right now we're just about maybe 10 miles off of Marathon. We're from the southwest. So what I'll do is I'll descend down to, let's get down to about 1,000 feet, which is our traffic pattern altitude. And then we're going to expect runway 7. So what we can do is we're going to fly past the airfield, and then we're going to join a right downwind for runway 7. So let's start decreasing altitude here. Alright. Wow, my fuel pump was on the entire time. Maybe I should have checked the checklist after all. Let's get a little bit of carb heat here as we're descending, since we're reducing power. Don't want to shock cool the engine. Now, it is Florida, and this weather is pretty humid, pretty hot, so I'm not too worried about it. But just in case, just to practice my carburetor heat operations, which I haven't done in quite a lot of years, guys. I fly mostly fuel-injected aircraft now, which is obviously a lot easier. One less thing to worry about. But nonetheless, flying carburetor engines is not a bad idea at all. Okay, there's Marathon just up ahead. So again, since we're going to be doing a right downwind for runway 7, we are going to continue on this heading. And then we're going to do a nice little left loop here at 1,000 feet. And we're going to come down this way. We're going to head south once again at 1,000 feet. And we're going to be doing right-hand traffic for runway 7. And actually, you know what? This would have been a great opportunity to test out the newly released Beyond ATC that we've been talking about for a while, where it's all pretty much AI generated and you're talking to ATC through comms, just like you would in real world, and they give you instructions and all the readouts and stuff like that. And they might even yell at you if you don't follow instructions. So it would have been pretty awesome to have ATC yelling at me this whole time because I deviated from my altitude, couldn't maintain coordinated flight. So yeah, it would have been a good time. So I'm hoping maybe by next week we have ourselves the copies of them ready to go. So definitely stay tuned because Flacco and I have been talking about them and waiting for that for a while now. Oh, look at that. My fuel's just automatically switching over. Okay. Don't know if that's a bug or if that's intentional, but I like it. One less thing for me to worry about. But anyways, guys, at this point, we'll assume that this is a CTAF or a Common Traffic Advisory Frequency. And we'll start making some calls so you guys can kind of see what it would look like and sound like in real world operations. Now, perhaps my entry into the right traffic pattern is not going to be the most realistic or best one, but I'm just trying to set myself up for a nice little loop around and join the right downwind. So the first call would be something like this, and it would be Marathon Traffic Tomahawk 2432 Golf, approximately 5 miles south. And we're going to be crossing midfield, joining the right downwind for runway 7, Marathon Traffic. Getting back on the power, we're about to level off at 1,000 feet. Let's bring carb heat off. I'll make sure we have engine performance. I don't see anybody in the airfield. Looks like the airfield's pretty much vacant now. We're at 1,400 feet. We need to be at 1,000 feet, and let's actually set up my altimeter here before I forget. The altimeter was 3003. We're there, so we got to bring it down even more. Alright, and as we begin to get closer to the airfield here, I will make another call on the simulated CTAF. Marathon Traffic Tomahawk 2432 Golf on the 45, about 2 miles southeast, joining the right downwind for runway 7, Marathon Traffic. As you can hear there, I'm just announcing my position, give or take my distance from the airfield, and what are my intentions. It's very, very important to make sure that you're announcing constantly where you're at in uncontrolled airfields, such as this one right now that we're simulating the CTAF. This way, all pilots operating in this area are communicating and aware of each other's positions, because it is up to us right now for separation if we had any traffic. So, very, very important, guys. Okay, we're approaching 1,000 feet. And as we begin our left turn to join the right downwind for runway 7, we'll have to get on the power because that wind is coming straight out of the west right now. So we're going to be having a nice headwind. It's going to want to slow us down. Let's keep 1,000 feet here. Marathon Traffic Tomahawk 2432 Golf on the 45, about a mile southeast, joining the right downwind for runway 7, Marathon Traffic. So here we go. We were on that give or take 45-degree inbound to the right downwind. And here we go. We should be on a nice back course of about 250, give or take, which is the typical end over there of runway 7. As you can see, we're a little bit low here. Let's get back up to 1,000 feet. Again, constantly scanning, making sure the airfield's clear. Nobody's in the way. Marathon traffic, Tomahawk 2432 Golf is on the right downwind, midfield, runway 7. Marathon traffic. And this plane is barely staying alive, guys. I feel like I've been flying DCS lately, and you know, flying jets and helos and all that. You're usually doing a couple hundred knots easily, and this thing is just a brick, just hanging up here. So yeah, if you guys ever get cocky and you're flying around jets and doing cool stuff, get back to Flight 7, fly a Cessna 152, or get yourself this Tomahawk, and it'll humble you real quick. Okay, I think we're just past the beam to number, so we're gonna reduce power. Leave it at about 1600 RPM. Pitch down about 5 degrees. Give ourselves a little room here. We'll begin our right base turn here shortly. Everything's looking good though. Everything's feeling pretty good here. Okay, let's begin our right base turn here. Marathon traffic, Tomahawk 2432 Golf on the right base, runway 7, marathon traffic. The idea is to square off these turns, guys, 90-degree turns. So let's get our first notch of flaps. Look at that nose. Oh my god. Not the prettiest base turn. This thing is fighting me. Let's get flaps full here. Yeah, these flaps are no joke on this thing. Marathon traffic, Tomahawk 2432 Golf, turning right final for runway 7. Marathon traffic. But there we go. We've got 2 white, 2 red. Like Flacco says, we ain't dead. 2 red, 2 white, we aight. Wow, these winds are not happy. I don't think that METAR was accurate. Oh, maybe it is. There's the windsock. No, we've got a perfect tailwind right now. This is not good, guys. There we go. We're committing. And pitching up. We're on the float now. There we go. Yeah, so safe to say that METAR was not accurate. And I should have known better because I was the one that set the winds myself. I just thought, you know, maybe up here in Marathon the winds had shifted a little bit, but now I don't know. Look at that windsock. That windsock is agreeing with the METAR. I don't know. That felt a little unstable, so I'm going to go and blame it on the weather, of course. But here, let's get on the brakes. Yeah, guys, these pedals are just revolutionary. I mean, this is exactly how it feels in real world. Transitioning from my heels on the floor to riding on top of the brakes here so I can use my brakes. Now that we're clear off the active, which is 7, let's turn off our landing light, kill the strobe lights. Let's get some fresh air up in here. Let's find ourselves a parking spot. I don't know if anybody makes a scenery for Marathon. It is a cool little airport. There's always a couple of older warbird-like aircraft like Beech 18s that sit right around here on Real World. Don't know if it's still there though. It's been quite a long time since I've driven through there. But I always remember seeing maybe a DC-3, seeing a Beech 18 and some other cool airplanes, and of course the typical lineup of GA aircraft. But definitely I gotta look into if anybody makes any freeware or even payware sceneries for this airport. Would love to see it come more to life. The default stuff. Okay, we're gonna go head on with the fire truck here once again. Oh, okay. Looks like he lost that battle. Thank you, sir. Let's go ahead and reduce our mixture here a little bit since we're on the ground already. Yeah, guys, like I said earlier, this was going to be a quick video. I just wanted to have a quick excuse to try out the new PA-38 Tomahawk from JustFlight. try out my new rudder pedals and just get some stick time with the new plane with some interesting weather conditions. This has been pretty cool. Obviously, halfway through the flight, after takeoff, I practically ignored all checklists, so don't do that. Don't be like me. Not healthy, not a good thing to do, both in sim and real world. Actually, if you want to piss off a flight examiner, you know, when you're doing your check ride, that's how you do it. Or even a CFI. Just completely ignore your check ride, or your checklist, I should say, and you'll quickly see how their attitude and humor changes. So, get into the habit of following the checklist, guys. It just makes the experience so much better. And it makes sure that you're following the manufacturer suggested inputs and parameters for the aircraft. Alright, well, in typical flight sim default scenery, this looks about as half-assed as possible, so we're going to park it right around here. Okay, let's put the parking brake on. See if the chocks will populate outside. I believe they did. Oh yeah. Chocks are on. Let's go ahead and turn off our radios. Let's go ahead and shut off our transponder. And let's go ahead and kill our lights. Radio lights are off. Let's pull back that mixture. There we go. Let's take our key off, back to off. Let's set our fuel shut off here to off. There we go. That's cool. It's got a little, like, safeguard there, little gate. Let's go back to the menu here. Let's go to aircraft. Let's get our tie downs, pitot cover on. Let's open up these doors. Charts. Oh wow, there, look at that. Wow, that's pretty cool. I don't know, guys. I think JustFlight was taking some notes over from AccuSim. I've got the PA-38, the Arrow from JustFlight, and I don't recall ever seeing the level of detail like this. This is, like I said, very similar to what we've seen on the AccuSim PA-250, the Comanche. So kudos to them, man. This is pretty awesome. You've got your actual performance stuff here. You can. This is crazy. Drag and drop PNG images into the following file directory and update. Wow. So I'm pretty sure if you want to put pictures of your dogs or your cars, you could probably do that here. I gotta try that out. That's some cool stuff, guys. So shout out to JustFlight for all that cool stuff, man. That's pretty awesome. Pardon GSX here. GSX always hijacks my screen anytime I shut power down. They think I want gate services and catering, and unfortunately I can't do that right now because I am in a PA-38. Anyways, battery and alternator coming off. Now we've got a completely cold and dark cockpit. So let's step outside and take a look. Let's adjust this camera somewhat. There we go. Well, in typical Florida fashion, we've got nothing but sogginess and rain and cloudiness above us, so nothing to be surprised about there. But there you have it, guys. We made it up to Marathon here from Key West. So like I said earlier, stay tuned for next weekend because we will be picking back up on our 22-leg trip to Trinidad, and I believe next week's trip will take us to Nassau in the Bahamas. So stay tuned. We still haven't decided what aircraft we'll be choosing to make that route. Definitely, I would probably feel better if we do it on a multi-engine aircraft, so that way we, you know, have some reliability and some redundancy just in case we're over the water and we lose one. But for now, this Piper, this PA-38 did just fine on the way up here to Marathon. So thanks for watching, guys. I always enjoy doing this. It's a good way for me to stay on my toes, and not only on my new rudder pedals, but legit, because I got to make sure that what I'm saying is as accurate as possible. And of course, if you guys heard something that sounded funky or didn't make sense, feel free to call me out, man. Drop a comment in there. Let us know what we can get better on. What do you guys want to see more from us from the Flight Sim channel? And yeah, and we've talked about it as well. We want to start doing some DCS footage live. So we got to get Captain Flacco spun up on that so he can join us and start maybe seeing some more dogfighting or air-to-ground operations happening on the Flight Sim channel. So anyways, guys, enough of my rambling. This is Captain Gonzo. Appreciate you guys watching. And as always, guys, happy flying. See you on the next one.
Thank you for choosing that Flight Sim channel. We invite you to our next stream as we take the skies once again. Until next time, and as always, happy flying.